Hey there, lovely watcher, and welcome back to Crimson Wonders, where we make videos once every 3 weeks, or, sometimes twice a week. Go figure. But predictable is boring, right? Right? Anyone? No? So, during last week's episode, we designed 5 little monster pins and went over 5 tips and tricks to help you improve upon your design ideas. And in today's video, I will show you how to submit these designs to my company of choice called Zap Creatives in order to actually manufacture them and end up with a beautiful little pin such as... No spoilers, I'm not gonna show it, I'll show it at the end of the video, of course. And if it's not your cup of tea, there's a new random Monster Girl design video coming next. So sit tight for that one and enjoy your cup of tea that's not your cup of tea. Yeah. Let's just get to the art of it. So this video is taking into consideration that you've followed all the steps from part 1 and that you're ready with your designs in hand to submit them to the company. So my first suggestion regarding this step would be first, of course, to create yourself an account. It's pretty fast and it's just gonna make things easier for you on the long run. And the second thing you need to do is just go on the page of the product that you're interested in buying and simply go there, download their templates. And then extract the files, open the folder and select the Photoshop file that's accurate for your size of pin. In our case, it's gonna be the 1-inch pin. So let's open it, and this is what you should see when it opens. First, we have this blue transparent layer showing where these safety borders are. So yeah, basically just don't let your art touch these borders. But the real point of interest are all of these layers, which are what is going to be printed on your pin. Really important, do not rename any of these layers to anything else than their current name and order. This is very important because printers be dumb and you will make some poor production employee rip his head off and curse you to always draw on the wrong layer for the rest of your very sad existence. Anyway, we're not going to touch the office use only layer, of course, so hide it if you want. Now, if you're doing pins like mine, you will not need to touch the hole and loop layers either. But if it's something that you might be interested in putting in your designs later on, all you gotta know is that the loop layer can actually go a bit outside of your design, like so, but the whole layer has to fit fully inside of it. Just like this. Now that this is out of the way, let's go back to our original file and start creating our layers for the submission. And here we have our designs. I'm gonna use Tattletale and I'm gonna use also Oculus because those are 2 more problematic designs. So first, let's go with Tattletale. We're gonna do Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V. Now with Ctrl+T and holding Shift, you're going to scale it down, center it, and make sure it's all well inside the borders. Go for a little more. See? Yeah, that's pretty fine. Usually what I would do is, especially for Tattletale, don't be afraid to just rotate your design and scale it a bit more so it takes a bit more space. It really doesn't make any difference once you print it. So in the case of Tattletale, this is going to be your artwork layer. Once you know that your design is well inside the blue borders, you can hide the office use only layer. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take your design layer and you're going to put it under the artwork layer. So once you select those two and merge the layers together, it's gonna keep the same name as it should be. And now that we have our artwork layer, we can now create our white layer. The white layer is basically the layer that's going to be under the artwork layer in order to make the colors pop. And especially for clear charms, it's just helping to make the colors appear at all. So what you need to do is you're going to press Ctrl and left click on your artwork layer. This is going to select all your pixels contained within the artwork layer. And now that we have this selected, we're going to go to Select, Modify, and Contract. You can contract by either 1 or 2 pixels, but don't contract more than that. So you're going to contract your selection. At this point, you have 2 options. You can go on the white layer. You can go to Edit, Fill, Color, choose another color, and here what we want is a pure cyan color. So that means 100 into cyan and 0 in all these other boxes. Gonna press OK, and now we're gonna press OK again, and it should fill up your layer. We can see it because the artwork layer is still visible, but basically if we unselect, this is what we got. Now, this is not perfect, because as you can see, if we zoom in a little, there are like these black splotches. Sadly, when you go with the route of using the edit fill, sometimes it leaves some pixels not 100% saturated with cyan. What you can do to fix this is simply to select your white layer again, pick up a brush, the hard round brush, make it pretty big, and simply go over it a couple times with your mouse. Now, as you can see, there are no more black spots. This is not super clean, could be a bit cleaner. And around the paws, we pretty much lost all the detail for the little fingers. But let's move on. We have another option here. If you Control A, delete the content of your white layer, if you go back again, select your artwork layer. Now what you can do is again go to Select, Modify, Contract. Put 1 or 2 pixels. I'm gonna try with 1 pixel this time. 1 pixel. Yeah, I think it's gonna be better. So what you can do instead of filling the layer is simply going with a hard brush, choosing again your 100% cyan color and make it huge, and going over your layer multiple times with your mouse, making sure it's all filled up. And once you hit it, see, there are no more black splotches. So if you think that the edit fill option is a bit too messy, you can always just go over it with a brush, and you see 1 pixel catches a lot more subtle details around the paws and the head. So I think that's better personally, but you do you. Another thing that is very important here is that if you have floating pixels, you need to take care of those. Now, Tattletale doesn't have this issue, but Oculus does. So if I Control C and Control V, it's pretty big. I'm gonna hide my layers. I'm just gonna put him on top. Let's scale him down a bit. Okay. Now, you see the issue with Oculus is that right now you cannot really see it, but he has a floating pixel around him that is going to be problematic once printed. how you get to see this is if you double click on your layer, you get all these options. And among these options, you have the stroke. So this creates a stroke around your design. If you make it a bit smaller, you can see right here, this shouldn't be there. And this is a problem. So all you need to do is press OK. You go on your artwork layer, you pick up your eraser, put it pretty small, and you try to just target this area. See, that's all it needed. But sometimes there are several, and sometimes they're just floating around in random places. That's because unless you work completely in vectors, it's just something that can happen. Sometimes you erase a line, you forget just a tiny bit of pixels you're barely able to see with your eyes. So yeah, just be mindful of those. Now we're gonna uncheck the stroke and press OK. So yeah, just wanted to make you aware of this because it's pretty important to avoid any floating pixels when you're gonna print your charms. Goodbye, I see you. And now back to Tattletale. So we have the artwork layer done, we have the white layer done, we're pretty happy with it. I'm gonna hide the office use only layer and we're gonna try to see if we can see any blue popping out when we do this, because we want to avoid any blue going over the artwork layer at all. And I can notice that in some areas right here, you can see the blue. If you can tell that there's blue going over your heart, you need to remove it. Otherwise, it's gonna show. Just like so. So now if we toggle between the two, there's a bit more around the fingers. Try to just remove it. It's not perfect, but you know, as long as you make it as clean as possible, it's gonna turn great no matter what. So now if you want to achieve some fancy glassy effects with your charm, like per se the eyes or the beak, or if you want to isolate some specific parts, you can always go with a brush, pick your color, and instead of cyan you put 0, and in gray you put 50. That's going to give you a perfectly neutral gray. So let's just say that we wanted our eyes glowy or just shiny. You can make selective areas in gray, and these areas are going to be shiny. So sorry because I'm using my mouse, it's really ugly, but yeah, so you could make selective area shiny. Or you can simply select your artwork layer, go to the gloss varnish layer, make your brush much bigger, and go over your art a couple times with your mouse. And this area needs to cover the artwork layer perfectly. So this layer is going to be the same as the artwork layer, but in pure gray. I personally don't use the gloss varnish option. I've never really had the opportunity to experiment with it. I highly encourage anyone who has good ideas for it to try it. It's perfect for lizard scales, latex, glass, and wet surfaces like water drops or lips, anything. So you can be really creative with the gloss varnish and you can make it fit any shape that you want, so that's pretty cool. Next and finally, we have our last layer, the cut area layer. So this layer will be the area that define how your charm will be cut by the laser. And in order to achieve this one, you need to select your artwork layer. So again, Control left click on your artwork layer to select all the pixels. You're gonna go to select, modify, but this time you're gonna expand. And the amount of pixels we need to expand our selection by is 10. You can go over this, but try as much as you can to not go under 10 pixels. We press OK. This is what we get. So our cut layer is simply a pure black layer. So you can click on those two. It's going to reset to black and white. You're going to have your black layer and you're going to go again with your mouse several times. We'll do our selection and this is what we get. This is not perfect. I would highly suggest that you go around and try to clean up the silhouette a little bit. Here, as you can see, the lines are a bit rough, but you can always switch it behind your artwork layer to see how it's going to look like. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So we're going to put this back. And now we have all our layers in the right order. So don't fret if now all you can see is this big blob of blackness. This is simply because when the printer prints all your layers onto the acrylic material, it's going from last to first. So it puts on the white, then the artwork, then the glossy areas, then it cuts around it, and then it versus the holes. So that's pretty logical, but yeah. And finally, what you need to do is, of course, look back, see if you're still fitting within the lines. As you can see, I overstepped a little bit, so I'm gonna do this, and this is gonna fit perfectly. Of course, like I said before, you can always go like this. No matter what angle it's printed, it's just not important. Once you're all done, make sure to name your file like so. It might seem like a lot at first to take in, but it's a lot easier after you've done it a couple times. And believe me, it's really not that big of a deal. I've ordered from them pretty often and it's easy, and if there's anything wrong, they're going to tell you. Then all that's left for you is to send your files by email and wait for a very, very long time. I personally have always loved working with them for my charms, and these were the first pins that I made with them too, and I really, really like them. And if you can catch a good deal, it can be pretty affordable. But the wait will always be really, really long. And as for the supplies I use to assemble the pins, I bought these butterfly clutch pin backs off of Amazon and simply glued them on the back of my pins with super glue. A friendly reminder that this glue is stronger than most people's will to live. So yeah, just be really careful when gluing all the parts together, because that's not children glue, just saying. And that's it, that's all there is to it, really. Here's the magnificent product of hours of labor, tears of madness, and dozens of dead layers later. A pretty, shiny, prickly little monster pin set for everyone to carry around for good luck and at least a +5 bonus of charm for your human character stats. Thank you everyone so much for watching this very specific content, and I hope that it was still enjoyable and useful to some of you, despite I know there are not many people who are gonna fit the criterias for a target audience, but who knows, if it can help someone, it's worth doing it. And I'll see you all in our next video, which is gonna be a new random Monster Girl design video. So I'm pretty pumped for that. And also, it's September. It's my favorite month. Let's just say that we're gonna get a spooky pretty soon. Have a great week, have a great weekend, and I'll see you in my next video. Au revoir!